Wrestling has more than one royal family.
Best podcast going around worldwide. Kick it to Scoop, and I am Cooper.
You took it all away, I give it all away. Can't take my freedom. Here to change the game, a better man to play. I built my kingdom. Now you bow to me. You took my dreams, but not my name.
Hello everyone and welcome to Kick It to Scoops. I'm your host Cooper Gretsch, the sole admin of VFL information, trade rumours and results. Got a very loaded show for you guys today. We've got the world famous segment Scoops Goes Bang on two particular topics, including the atrocious umpiring in the St Kilda Fremantle game. I'm going to show you footage of instances in the game where St Kilda were not given a free, or cases where they shouldn't have been a free against, and ones they should have gotten, all in St Kilda's favour. Now, for starters, I'm not saying it cost the game at all. Like I said in the post, it did not cost us the game, but it certainly was atrocious, no matter the margin. And if you actually bother to read the post properly, I did not once blame the umpires for the result, but the umpiring was utterly atrocious, headlined by Matt Stevic. I'll go through that. And also, the final play in the Essendon Brisbane game against the depleted Brisbane side, might I add, at the Gabba. Brandon Starcevic given a high contact free to Matt Guelphy, which was not a free. I'll get to that in a second. We got the review round 17 and preview round 18 games. We got the Supercoach talk, my team of the week, and my rolling All-Australian team. But first, you want me on Cameo, head to cameo.com/Cooper G. Merch, there's t-shirts, there's stickers, there's stubby holders, there's hats, the whole lot is on the website. The merch link is in the description of this video, so go and check it out. If you want me to roast your friend on Cameo, go and purchase a Cameo. You want to wish someone a happy birthday, anything like that at all, go on the website today, and I will try and complete your requests as soon as possible. In the works of some new t-shirt designs. I'm sure it'll be a design that you will like, because it's... should I give it away? No, I'm not going to give it away, but it's something that's been asked before for a t-shirt design, and it's a very famous one. Very, very, very famous one. Speaking of very famous, let's start off with the world famous segment, Scoops Goes Bang! Oh, Matt Stevic. Matt Stevic. The umpiring for you in particular was utterly atrocious, especially the most experienced senior umpire in the AFL competition, umpiring in grand finals. But fair to say, this is the worst umpiring I've ever seen him be a part of. You don't know what I'm talking about? He's not the only umpire in this Saints clash that was woeful and utterly ridiculous and embarrassing. This is why people don't like the competition. You don't know what I'm talking about? Check this clip of the umpiring between the Saints and the Dockers, and then I'll give my thoughts again after it.
Ball gets knocked to turf. Hughes runs into the wall in the form of Crouch.
Brayshaw, Skyward, Lobb's going to launch. Worked underneath it. Arm chop, free kick, going Fremantle's way.
Still trying to work out how that's a chop of the arm.
You might have had an extra 150, 200.
Oh, that's unlucky. You can see the left arm just sort of holding one, a bit of a pull there, but
Mundy. I'm not sure that's legal.
But by hand, Banfield. Sarong, poor towards Brodie. Jones disagrees. Free kick, Will Brodie. Brodie works it deep towards King. Hands on it initially. Young. Clearance here. Brodie to Frederick. Frederick to trouble. Over the top, little handball.
Well tackled, Mundy. Could they go back the other way? Clark, well done, Dan Butler ran him down. Saints fans thought it was holding the footy. Frederick wraps up Bradley Hill, and he's been pinged. They're going to go nuts here, the Saints fans. And 50.
So, you've seen that clip. Yeah, really? Stevic, the other two clown umpires in the game. How do they get a gig? And this is why people are frustrated with the umpiring, and people say they're not attending for it. At one point, I might have been saying, really? You're not attending because they're umpiring, even though they're bad? But now I don't blame you. Was St Kilda good in the first half? Absolutely they were. Was umpiring garbage in the first half? Yes, it was. Was it garbage in the third and fourth quarters when Freo were getting on top? Yes, it was. But how the Dan Butler one was not a free for him? Did you see that clip? And for people telling me that Jordan Clark got a foot on it, please, he did not. He dropped it. That should have been a free. The one on Brad Hill was then given. Then 50 against Butler for dissent. I praise Dan Butler. He was well within his rights to do that. The umpire deserved a baking for that shit call beforehand. How Butler didn't get a free for holding the ball on Jordan Clark, I will not know. Then, of course, when Brad Hill gets it, 2 seconds later on him. Utterly ridiculous. Matt Stevic, you should be joining the VFL crew this week in the umpiring in the VFL. I don't care how experienced you are, Matt. That was embarrassing. And you wonder why the crowds drop off and have to watch garbage umpiring decisions like that. Pathetic. You've seen the other clips in there. Just makes you shake your head. And yes, I'm going to repeat myself again for the people saying, oh, you blame the umpires. If you read my post properly, I said Freo were too good in the second half. The umpiring was garbage. That's what I said. Not once did I say umpiring ruined the game for St Kilda and ruined their chances. Certainly stuffed the momentum up, that's for sure, though. If you looked at the Dan Butler one, it would have been 3 goals at three-quarter time. But they made it 4 goals and almost made it really hard to come back for the Saints. Matt Stevic, lift your game! Pathetic. And the other 2 clowns. Oh, and that was not all for the umpiring department this week. Now, Brisbane were depleted. It's probably still expected to win because they were playing Essendon. Now, people were saying, Essendon won by 10 points. If that goal it wouldn't have mattered, blah, 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 blah. Well, for starters, you eliminate Matt Guelfi's goal if it wasn't given a free to Essendon. Make that 4 points. 40 seconds to go. Yes, it's in Essendon's 50. But how do you know that Brisbane aren't going to score from that? So when I said it cost Brisbane the game, it cost them a chance of winning the game. Absolutely it did. If you think it didn't, well, I don't know what you're on. 38 plus seconds remaining. How could Brisbane, or any team for that matter, not go coast to coast in 38 seconds? We're not talking about 8 seconds. We're talking about 38 seconds. So to say that Brisbane weren't a chance to score off that, you've got to be kidding yourself. That was not a high free against Starcevic. That cost them the chance of getting the victory and could stop them from making the top 4 or top 2 even, which is just as vital. The umpiring week in, week out, and game in and game out rather, is utterly embarrassing. Something's got to change. The rules have been tweaked, blah, blah, blah. And they're still umpiring atrocious. No wonder people get sick and tired of the umpiring. And it's not always true for people saying, St Kilda had more frees in their game. Well, you do realise it's not necessarily the number, it's the amount of non-calls, which you've seen in that clip from the Saints Freo game. Non-calls not given. The umpiring is an embarrassment. All of them don't know how to umpire because there's not many games, if any, where the umpiring has been fair. The umpiring is a joke. There needs to be a complete overhaul. Razor Ray Chamberlain has not been umpiring for a few months through injury. Maybe they need to shape things up completely. To the AFL umpiring department, lift your game! Pathetic. Hope you guys enjoyed that edition of the world famous segment, Scoops Goes Bang! Now, leave your thoughts down below of the umpiring standards, guys and girls in general, because it is utterly ridiculous. Now, let's go review round 17. It started all the way back on Thursday night at GMHBA Stadium. It was Geelong defeating Melbourne 91-63. Geelong by 28 points. It was relatively close. Geelong got some late goals. Max Score and Luke Jackson, pretty poor. I said on Thursday night an opinion piece that Luke Jackson is not worth $1 million. He's not worth $1 million per year. In fact, most players in the competition are not worth $1 million per year. In fact, almost no one is worth $1 million per year. They're completely overpaid in general, but that's a whole different argument. Luke Jackson looks a bit disinterested for me, and he's certainly not worth $1 million per year. And if it's looking like he's going to leave Melbourne and go to Freo or West Coast, back home to WA, looks likely because they're not going to be able to afford Brayshaw and Jackson on top of Oliver and Petrarca signing long-term extensions lately and Gorn. So I'll be shocked if they can find a way, unless he takes a significant pay cut, and I doubt they will. But poor performance from Melbourne. Oliver was their best player. It's funny, I say he was their best player, yet he had his finger kicked by Joel Selwood. And again, surprise, the AFL did not look at that. What a shock. He can get away with murder, that bloke, and nothing will happen to him. He might only get fined if he killed someone. People say he's sulking about Selwood again. No, it's just fact. He gets away with everything. If you're not a Geelong fan, you know he gets away with everything. Nothing even gets looked. He didn't even look at the incident. He finger surgery for Oliver recently, in doubt for this week. And even if he plays, he still kicked his finger in midair. 28 points. Mitch Duncan was Geelong's best with 2 goals and 32. Yeah, a big statement for them, I suppose. But keep in mind, when the big time comes around, they won't be playing at that small ground in GMHBA. The ground, one of the only teams in the 18 clubs that gets to train and play on their ground. Do you see St Kilda or any Marvel Stadium team training at Marvel? No. Do you see any MCG team home ground train there? No. And rarely do you see any of the interstate sides train on their home ground. So they get a huge advantage. People say they play the ground so well, they're unbeatable there. Maybe because, or Freo beat them there, but you know what I mean. That maybe they're hard to beat there because they train on that ground 24/7, and other clubs maybe not have a dominant record at home because they don't play on the ground they train on 24/7. But see how they go against Melbourne at the MCG and how they go at finals, not playing at GMHBA. Friday night at the SCG, it was an emphatic, dominant victory for the Swans. 120 defeated the Bulldogs 67, 53 points. Chad Warner was awesome, as was Callum Mills, had 14 to 16 tackles. He was awesome. For the Bulldogs, well, not much to say. Norton was well held by Paddy McCartan. Yeah, it was a good performance for the Swans, an emphatic performance. They were awesome, and they're in the top 8. You will see them throughout this video, the ladder, and the Swans are in the 8, and they're almost settled in the 8. I wouldn't go too far. I'm going to go through my ladder predictions in a little bit. The Bulldogs 67, yeah, they were pretty poor, and their season may be shot. Play the Saints on Friday night, which we'll go to later. Saturday, 88, the Pies defeated the Roos 81. Collingwood by 7 points. Wasn't a great victory for the Pies. It was not. North left for 3 quarters. Yes, it was a big loss for the Pies, but they should never have been in a position for the way North have been performing this year. Had a few recent 100-point losses, and not good for the Pies. Even though they won, I wouldn't be happy. They'd be happy to come back for sure. Great. Josh Carmichael made his debut. To go, he missed another 2 to 3 weeks. As Craig McRae said, the new Pies coach is doing an awesome job as Fly. Yeah, look, Luke Davies-Uniacke was awesome, probably the best on the ground, best for the Roos for sure. The Clarkey kicked 5. Josh Carmichael made his debut for the Pies, a mid-season recruit, the best mid-season recruit. Don't give me Massimino D'Ambrosio. He's been good. And if you actually went back, by the way, and see my mid-season predictions, I did say that Massimino D'Ambrosio and Josh Carmichael were the 2 best picks, along with John Menzies. And that's my opinion. Josh Carmichael will be the better overall player. Bit easier playing halfback compared to playing mid-forward. Pies got the win in the end. That's what matters for them. Yeah, win for the Pies. Not one to remember, though. Gold Coast, talk about a choke from Richmond. 42 points up, and Metricon losing Tom Lynch early in the game to hamstring. Yeah, well, Gold Coast are missing players in general. Nankerba's only last few minutes was out. Saldo played out the game, so don't give me the ruck excuse. There's no excuse for coughing up a 40-point lead, 42-point lead. The Suns, Noah Anderson. Absolutely clutch was Noah Anderson. They went bang, 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 bang. The Gold Coast Suns. And they're keeping their finals hopes alive. It'll be a great time to see the Suns make the 8. Now's their time. They're a game out of the 8 behind Richmond and St Kilda, who are 9th. So 8 and 9th, 36 points. Gold Coast, Port and Bulldogs are 32. I think Bulldogs are shot compared to their fixture. The Suns keep their finals hopes alive thanks to Noah Anderson. Sam Day did mark it on the boundary line. It was centered by Nick Holman from pocket. It went to the other pocket where Sam Day marked it with about 30 seconds to go. He chipped it back, Sam Day, to Noah Anderson. About 45 out on an angle. And clutch Noah Anderson, who's not known for his field kicking, or accuracy-wise, but in the clutch moment, he delivered for the Suns. Chewy G off the back of a 2-year extension. It was great to see for the Suns. Great victory. And funnily enough, too, guys, I don't know if you realise this, but there's been 3 games where Gold Coast have come from behind or had a close victory either after the siren or within the last 40 seconds. If you remember last year, Benny King, all hail the King, kicked a late goal within a minute to beat the Tigers at Marvel. This year, Noah Anderson after the side of Metricon. Then the game in Cairns, or Darwin, whatever venue it was, Carmichael Hunt, after the siren, kicked the winner for the Suns, and that was probably one of their best moments, but I think this one has now trumped that. What do you guys think? Which goal after the siren was better in terms of the game and the kick? Was it Noah Anderson or Carmichael Hunt? Leave your thoughts down below. Great for the Suns. Torque Miller was awesome. Jared Witts was dominant in the ruck, as is, and he should be the All-Australian ruckman. If he's not, I'll go crazy. Awesome performance for them. Richard Shai-Bong kicked 3 and 28 was their best. But it was the Suns who prevailed in the end. Sam Collins, Charlie Ballard, didn't go through the whole list. They were going pretty well. Oh, the Saints and the Dockers. 70 the Saints. Dockers won 11, 41 points. The margin made it look worse than it was. Dockers were too good in the second half. I think it was, what was it, about 4 goals to 11 in the second half. Not good enough from the Saints in the second half. No plan B. Rats again signed a 2-year extension throughout the week, and I said, why rush? And examples of this second half was why rush? Why rush? Simply why rush? Clarko's still there. If they had reached out to him, if he hadn't reached out, I'm sure he would have taken it. Why rush? Ratton has showed continuous times this year there is no plan B. Again, I said a few weeks ago they lost at the selection. He finally picked a reasonable team for the current game. We won. Now, Dougal Howard was out this week. Could have brought in Jared Lena, who played at the start of the year, and when he was in, it was like 6-1 record. And what did he do? Could have brought in Jared Lena for Howard. No. They brought in Dara Joyce. Now, I did mention in a clip a few weeks ago, they could have even brought in Dara Joyce at one point, but Jared Lena was a priority, and Tommy Highmore at the time, who's in now, thank God. But Jared Lena, they could have picked him, but they didn't. Utterly ridiculous. Rory Lobb was one of the Dockers' best players, as was Andy Brayshaw and Will Brodie and Hayden Young for the Saints. Some solid performances for Jack Sinclair, Dan Butler, and Jack Steele, the man of steel, who I met recently. He's a great person, Steely. Disappointing for the Saints, but the Bulldogs this week, then Hawthorn and West Coast to follow, then Geelong, Brisbane, and the Swans. So, the chances in the next 3 games, win all 3, hopefully, you should, and then sneak maybe at least one of the other 3 or even 2, and finals should happen, But this game, the Dockers got the win by 41 points. The other game on Saturday night was the Giants and the Power in Adelaide. The Power 84 smashed the Giants 29, 3-11-29, the Giants. Port for 55 points. Stevic was a Giants display, but for the Power, Connor Rosie kicked 4 and had 24 was pretty good. And dominant performance for him and the Power. Keep their finals chances alive, the Power, and it's a victory that Kenny Hinkley will be happy about, and an important win for them. And Mark McVeigh, the interim coach, making weird selection positions as statements as well. Unfortunately, Phil Davis on his hamstring, and this may be the end of Phil Davis. And if it is, wish Phil all the best and congratulate him on a great career at the Crows and the Giants. Phil Davis will be in the media next year, no doubt, if not the following year, depending if he plays on next year, but I highly doubt that, especially for another hamstring injury just after coming back from one. Sunday, we briefly mentioned the Lions and the Essendon side. It was almost pretty much, you can call Essendon, Brisbane's VFL side, 90 defeated by Essendon, 100, Essendon by 10 points. You mentioned about Mark Guelphy, Starstretch before, ridiculous. Should have been 4 points, and then given 40 seconds to go coast to coast for the Lions. Could have happened. Lions, Lockie Neal was tagged by Jai Caldwell, and Jai Caldwell got a bit of the ball himself, then kicked a late goal prior to the Guelphy goal. So, right on to Jai Caldwell on a good performance there. Zach Merritt was one of their best 2-metre. Peter kicked 5 in some great form in the last month, as Peter Wright. Brisbane, it was Carter Michael's debut. Kicked a good goal on his left foot towards the boundary, but a relatively quiet debut, if I'm being brutally honest. Lockie Neal, as I said, was well held. McCluggage done all right. I know they were forced to bring in some of these players through COVID. Dan McStay was one with COVID. He had some injuries with Zorko and Rich and Archie. Keaton Coleman had COVID as well. Noah Ainsworth had COVID, so they had a lot of places, some more as well. I can't think of the top of my head, but yeah, they'll still be disappointed. Fagan wasn't too disappointed with the amount of players they had out, and I don't blame him. I know they'd be disappointed they lost, but I don't blame him. They're pretty much playing with the VFL side. Darcy Fort came in, kicked a goal. Oscar McInerney did okay in the ruck on his birthday, kicked a couple. But yeah, it was Essendon with the win in the end. It's funny, Essendon have beaten the Saints and the Swans and the Lions, and they're towards the bottom. Interesting. The other game, the middle game in the afternoon, Hawks, Marvel, defeated the Crows 86-54, Hawthorn by 32 points. Win number 1,000 in the career of the Hawthorn Football Club. Congratulations to the Hawks on that. Mitch Lewis kicked 5, all in the first half. So if he kept that momentum going, he could get 10 even. He was on track for 10 at halftime. And in fact, actually, I think he kicked his 5th when there's about 5 minutes to go in the second quarter, so he had a bit more time as well. Yeah, he was good. James Sicily was pretty good for the Hawks as well. Luke Bruce. The Crows, Rory Laird, 42 was awesome. Close to BOG, if not BOG. Ben Keese was pretty good. Riley O'Brien was solid in the ruck. Great to see Big Boy McAvoy back from a serious neck injury. Great to see Big Boy McAvoy back. But the Hawks, 32-point victory. Crows came back in the third. And the Hawks pipped them a little bit in the start of the last quarter and was all too much then for the Crows. The final game of the round, this was a weird game of quarters. Eagles 53, smashed by Carlton 116, 63 points. Well, what can you say about this? Eagles were embarrassing in the first quarter, down by about 30 plus points a quarter time. Came back. Even the scores up. Third quarter, they were pretty solid. They were keeping in. It was within a few goals. And then Carlton, in the last, did almost what they did in the first, but worse, for West Coast's sake. Went bang, 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 bang. Kerno and Mackay, 5 each. They could have kicked more, both those two guys. Yeah, Matt Owies was laid out. Josh Shunny took his spot. Will Hayes was the sub and came on late for his first game for Carlton, the former Dog. Did okay in the 10 minutes or so he played, had 5 touches. Eagles, Shannon Hearn was one of the best for the Eagles. Petruccelli went off, got subbed off for a late injury. Greg Clark came off him, who should probably be in the side. Nick Nat, second game back. Yeah. Disappointing for the Eagles. I thought, they could come back and win this during the second and third quarter, but the first and fourth quarters were utterly pathetic from their standards, even with players back now. Wasn't going to lost Jamie Crisp throughout the week to COVID, unfortunately for the Eagles. He's been in great form, Jamie Crisp, particularly the last 3 weeks. And they missed him deeply up forward. But yeah, as I said, Carlton, in the end, got up. Now, we'll go through my Round 17 AFL Team of the Week. From the backline, the pockets, Blake Hardwick and Sam Collins. Fullback, Ben Mackay. Half backline, Charlie Ballard and Josh Battle. Centre half back, Paddy McCartan. Wingers, Connor Rozee and Mitch Duncan. Centreman, Luke Davies-Uniacke. Half forward line, Nick Larkey and Peter Wright. Centre forward, Charlie Curnow. Forward pockets, Isaac Heaney and Tom Papley. Full forward, Harry Mackay. Ruckman, Sam Reid. Rovers, Rory Laird and Andy Brayshaw. Interchange, Mitchell Lewis, Cole Langford, Jed Anderson and Toik Miller. Emergencies, Chad Warner, Jai Simpkins, Shai Bolton, Noah Anderson and Clayton Oliver. Reasons for some of these selections. Ben Mackay played his best game for the year for the Roos, back in the backline where he should be. Josh Battle had 27 and about 13 marks that deserved a spot there. McCartan did well on the Bulldogs forward line, as mentioned earlier, as did Ballard. Rosie hit 4 and 24, so he was awesome. The forwards were dominant. Papley kicked 2 and had 24 touches, deserved a spot. Was pretty influential, kicked some behinds as well. He could have converted them into goals, could have had a big day, Tommy Papley. Sam Reid had 15 possessions, 15 of those contested. They had about 23 hitouts, had about 13 tackles. He was dominant for someone that's not a full-time ruckman to beat English after Ladders went off injured. Should be proud of that effort from Sam Reid. May go around again next year, Sam Reid. Been having some good form as of late, and he's always been a player who has some good performances here and there, but this year I thought he's been pretty consistent. Some players play better at the later part of their career somehow. Rory Laird was awesome. Anthony Brayshaw had 20 possessions in the second half. And the Saints having 36 in general, had 10 tackles. Was an obvious selection. Cole Langford kicked 4, Mitch Lewis kicked 5. Jen Anderson had 33, 7 tackles or so. Same with clearances. He deserved a spot there. Troy Miller was one of the difference in part of the change for the Suns getting that victory over Richmond. Wanted to put all them emergencies in, but Warner, Simpkin, Bolton, Anderson, Oliver. But as I said all the time, you can't fit more in 22. So leave your thoughts down below of my round 17 AFL team of the week. Oh, and also, apologies, Jared Witts in the emergencies as well. Was the next best ruck choice after Sam Reid. Could have put him in over Reid, but Reid was really dominant, and considering he's not a full-time ruck to beat English, deserved a spot in the team. Could have easily put Witts on the bench, but it was a bit hard to do that this round. Now, we can go through my Supercoach talk. This round I scored 2,299, still in the top 10%. I was hoping that it'd go up, but unfortunately that has not happened so far. Now, I plan this round. You won't see it on the screen here that I've attached. But at the moment, I'm looking. I've put it through that I'm trading out Patrick Cripps. I'm getting Callum Mills at this stage. But in saying this, I've also traded Jace Burgoyne in for Jack Carroll. Now, the reason I'm doing that, that's at the moment. That's if Oliver does not play, because I do not want to be a player short, obviously. And I don't really want to be trading Oliver because there's no point. So, if Oliver does play, great. I'll downgrade Jacob Ware in the back line to Jace Burgoyne in the back line, not the midfield. Then upgrade Cripps still. I could then get Jordan Dawson if I wish, or just keep Callum Mills or Jack Steele or someone like that. So that's the plan. Depending on if Oliver plays, that's why I've left the screenshot for you guys here to show without the trade, because I could be undoing it. So Cripps will be out no matter what. It's whether it's going to be for Jacob Dawson. Jacob Dawson, that's a former son at Southport, you fool. Jordan Dawson at the Crows, Callum Mills and the Swans, or Jack Steele from the Saints. At the moment, I've got it as Callum Mills for Cripps and Jace Burgoyne in the midfield bench for Jack Carroll as backup if Oliver doesn't play. If Oliver does play, I'll do the Sopperoo. Carroll will stay on the midfield bench. We will go. Jace Burgoyne will be the defender bench. But yeah, hopefully, fingers crossed Oliver plays. Fingers crossed Oliver plays. I wanted to get rid of Luke Jackson, but there's probably no point because outside of O'Brien, Witts, and Sean Darcy, there's no other ruckman, and I can't really get Witts or Darcy for Jackson. Oh, I could, but it's just all depending now if Oliver plays, because I'm thinking, Cripps is annoying me more. This is Jackson, but can't really get rid of both, because then I can trade Cripps for pretty much next to no one. And then I can't use that downgrade money if I'm trading out two players at similar prices. So, yeah, it's a difficult one. But, yeah. So, my current side, without them changes, is as follows. James, from the backline for you Spotify and Apple Podcast listeners, go subscribe to those platforms too, please. And YouTube channel if you haven't already. Aim for 20 likes for this vid. Right, from the back line, first, James Sicily, Jack Sinclair, George Hewitt, Jack Crisp, Hayden Young, and Jaden Shaw. Bench, Jacob Ware, and Sam Skinner. Midfield, Clayton Oliver, Rory Laird, Toik Miller, Lockie Neal, Jack McRae, Andy Brayshaw, Ben Keys, and the soon-to-be traded out Patrick Cripps. Bench, potentially Jack Carroll if he stays, Mitch Owens, and James Cheetahs. Ruckman, Riley O'Brien, and Luke Jackson. Hopefully, I don't have to keep Jackson, but it looks like I might have to stick with him for the year. Brian Teagle, bench, out for the year. Forwards, Steve Cornelio, Will Brodie, Adam Treloar, Jay Gresham, Isaac Heaney, and Pat Lipinski. Bench, Cooper Hamilton, and Ned Long. There's been players been looking at Jackson and Lipinski, and Cripps, Jackson, Lipinski, And Jaden Short and Jack Crisp are all on the chopping block. We've got 6 straights left before the round started. I will end up having 4. It just depends if Weir and Carroll and Oliver and Cripps. It just depends on the combination I have to go with. I went through both combinations and what I'll do if I have to do it. If you want any Supercoach advice, guys, please leave your thoughts down below or email me at aflinfolive@gmail.com, Instagram aflinfolive, or Facebook AFL Information, Trade Rumours, and Results. Now, my captaincy choice, I'm looking at Rory Laird as the vice captain. Now I'm just going to see him as captain because I haven't done it officially yet. Adelaide played the first game on Saturday. Looking at putting Rory Laird as vice captain and potentially put the captaincy on Toik Miller as they played Essendon in the last game of the round. Now, speaking of that, leave your thoughts down below. Now, we will indeed preview round 18. Now, let's have a look. Previewing round 18. It's going to start all the way on Friday night. Unfortunately, there's no more Thursday night games unless they do one in the final series. Friday night, almost an elimination final type of match. Friday, July 15, St Kilda and the Bulldogs at Marvel Stadium, 7:50 Victorian time. Obviously going for the Saints. Hopefully Dan McKenzie is back. Hopefully Jared Lena gets put in place of Jared Lena gets put in place of Dara Joyce. Hopefully Hunter Clark is back more 50-50. Brett Rand said. Mitch Owens was set to play in the VFL, but unfortunately came down with COVID, as did Dan Hanbury. Jaron Geary should play VFL next week. Dean Kent pulled out of the warm-up, so we should get some plays back in the VFL. Jack Bartel, so through injury, and build that options to pick from greater. Rotten luck Dan Hanbury's having injuries after injuries, comes back finally, and was going to play, and this time it was nothing to do with an injury, it was COVID. Hopefully Hunters plays VFL this week on Saturday against Coburg. At Coburg. This game, the Saints, it's must win, should win. I'm going for the Saints. Shouldn't exploit the Western Bulldogs' average defence. That's out their midfield, and Norton and Bruce, who could be back this week, plays the Saints in the VFL this week. Kick 4-5, should be back in. Obviously, I'm going for the Saints, and they should win realistically the way the Bulldogs have been performing. Saturday, July 16th, 1:45 at the Adelaide Oval. Adelaide hosting the Pies. The Pies will want to bounce back in better form. So will the Crows. They've been disappointing last week against this week just gone against the Hawks. They want to bounce back, and this is Scott Pendlebury's 350th game. 350th game for Scott Pendlebury, the current captain. Been a great player for the Pies. Ultra reliable, ultra consistent, rarely injured. Except when I had him in Supercoach last year. But Pendles, great achievement. And he'll be cheered off at the end of the game. Hopefully the Crows boys stay back, as Kane Collins might get a bit upset if the Crows do, and he doesn't like the Crows. You watch, the Crows win, lose or draw, the Crows will cheer off Scott Pendlebury, deserves it. Let's see if Kane shits on the Crows like he shit on North Melbourne doing it as well. That was utterly pathetic from Kane. I should include that in my Screwface bang, and I probably should have. Kane, I'm going to add it here. Seriously, you thought that, that North Melbourne should be embarrassed and not cheat off Mitch Duncan for his game 250th? Please, Kane. Seriously. And then Melbourne did it for Mitch Duncan. Melbourne then did it as well. You're going to shit on Melbourne too? Shouldn't they have gone off and been embarrassed, Kane? But you didn't say it for Melbourne, but you said it for North Melbourne. Hypocritical. And you don't like the Crows, so let's see if he does it for the Crows this week, but he'll probably say it is 350. Congrats to Pendles on a great milestone. But yes, I'm going for the Pies there. Brody Grundy should be a few weeks away. Giants, same time, 1:45. Sorry, that Crows Pies clash is 1:45 Victorian time at the Adelaide Oval. At 1:45 at Manuka Oval, it's the Giants facing the Lions. Lions should get players back from COVID, so the Lions should win pretty comfortably. 4:35, Twilight Game of Marvel. The Roos hosting the Tigers. Richmond potentially won't have a ruckman unless they bring in Samson Ryan, who got destroyed in his first and only AFL game so far against the Saints last year at the G, where Richmond scored 22 points. The Cinco 62, just remember that. He had one touch, young fella. Roos, Todd Goldstein should dominate Samson Ryan or any fringe type ruckman or any makeshift ruckman they put in. Todd Goldstein should be dominant in the ruck. He's been good when he's played the ruck over Tristan Cherry, who's out for the rest of the year with an injury. So Goldie, it's your chance to shine as you always have in your whole career. Speaking of loyalty, Todd Goldstein personifies loyalty. Could have gone to St Kilda and Geelong in previous years. Declined that to stay at the Roos. And then it looks like they're trying to ship him out. Goldie, I know you want to be loyal, but when they're treating you like garbage, just leave. Brady Rawlings doesn't know what he's doing. Clearly, it's not Dave Noble's fault. Now, speaking of Dave Noble and the Roos, they were so close to winning. Dave coached against his son, John Noble, for the Pies. He almost got to win the Roos. They deserved to win. The Jaden Stevenson criticism from Ross Lyon and a few others is pathetic. It really is. He's not wide. Look at Kane again, saying that Jaden Stevenson cost them the game with some of his efforts. Oh, Kane. No, he didn't cost them anything. But yeah, North, if they can be close to Collingwood, and with Richmond having no rucks, Goldstein will dominate in that area. Still no Martin, Cochin and co. Martin probably won't play this game. I'm tipping Richmond. But hope for the Saints' sake too, that the Roos can be bouncing around with the great victory. But I'm tipping Richmond. Carlton Geelong, 7:25. The MCG, Saturday night, 7:25. Vic time. MCG, that North Richmond game, 4:35 Vic time, by the way. Victorian time for the Carlton Geelong clash, 7:25. Carlton v Geelong at the MCG. I'm tipping Geelong and think they'll get the win, but they'll have to contest with Curnow, Charlie Curnow, and Mackay decoding, and probably Blixarves will have to play on the other. Now, the next game on Saturday night also, 7:30. This will be an interesting clash after the Swans' big win over the Bulldogs at home, the SCG. This is at Optus Stadium, though, 7:30 Victorian time in Perth. Dockers hosting the Swans. And Saints need Swans to lose and win themselves. So, and I'm thinking the Dockers will win at home. They were good second half against the Saints. I'm going for the Dockers at home. Andy Brayshaw is an All-Australian lock, and he's a Brownlow medal contender. Scoops medal contender. You'll have to wait and see. Remember, that is between round 23 and week one of the finals of Scoops medal extravaganza. It's going to be a big edition, and I'm going to try and make it the best episode of all time for this podcast in general. I'm having a lot planned for it, and I'm hoping it can come to how I want it to be. And if not, I'll still find another way to make it great. The extravaganza, Scoops medal. This game, going for the Dockers, though, to give the Swans the old heave-ho. Sunday, at the MCG, Hawks, 1:10 Vic time, MCG, Hawks, Eagles. Going for the, I'll go Josh Kennedy might be rested due to the old fella not having many games left, says Adam Simpson, so I'm going for the Hawks. Hopefully they'll regain Jamie Cripps, so. Now, this is in Darwin at Traeger Park. Melbourne, Port Adelaide, 3:20 on Sunday, Victorian time. I'm going for Melbourne, and they should win, and that would end the Port's chances of making the 8. But it's in Darwin, so who knows? Port Adelaide may get the win, but I'm going for Melbourne. And the final game of the round on Sunday at Marvel Stadium, 4:40 Victorian time. Essendon hosting the Suns. I'm going for the Suns to keep their finals hopes alive. Yes, Essendon had a good win, but they beat Brisbane's VFL side and only just beat them. I'm going for the Suns in a must-win game for them, also to keep their finals chances alive. Especially if the Saints win, they would need to win, otherwise it is over. The same if Richmond win and the Suns lose it, then it would be over. Now, leave your thoughts down below, your tips for the round, guys. But what I will say is the ladder. Now, I think, guys, it is down to 9. Oh, no, 10. We'll go 10. Down to 10 teams. And the 10 teams is not who you may think. It's the 8, obviously in the 8. The other two sides are St Kilda and the Gold Coast. I think Power probably won't get in. They got some few tough games, including the one against Melbourne this week. Then the Bulldogs have got a tough draw too. Saints are 1 win ahead. If they beat the Saints, mathematically there'd be a chance. I still don't see them making it regardless. The Saints lose, it will be tough, but still gettable in my eyes. But we'll have to wait and see how the Bulldogs game goes. If Richmond win and Saints lose, then it makes it really tough. But it all depends on the Saints beat the Bulldogs. Saints beat the Bulldogs, they're still in the mix. Then hope that Richmond lose and they'll be in the 8. If they both win, Saints and Richmond, they'll both be equal 8th, but Richmond on percentage will be in the 8. So we'll have to wait and see how that goes. Leave your thoughts. Who do you think will make the 8? Do you think the 8 will change? Do you think the Saints, Suns, Bulldogs, or Power will get in? Leave your thoughts. Sound them off in the comment section down below. Now we're going to go through my rolling All-Australian team. Just the one change this round, and it's an interesting positional change while the in is in, but not for the player whose position plays. Rolling All-Australian team after round 17. From the back pockets, Cal Wilkie and Sam Doherty's full back. Sam Taylor, half back line, Jack Sinclair and Jordan Dawson. Centre half back, James Sicily. Wingers, Josh Kelly and Jack McRae. Centreman, Lockie Neal. Half forward line, Will Brodie and Drury Laird. Centre half forward, Jeremy Cameron. Forward pockets, Charlie Cameron and Charlie Curnow. Full forward, Aaron Norton. Ruckman, Jared Witts. Rovers, Clayton Oliver and Andy Brayshaw. Interchange, Toik Miller, Sam Walsh, Ben Keys. And the new inclusion, Paddy McCartan, who replaces Jack Crisp. So that's the overall change after round 17. In Paddy McCartan, out Jack Crisp. 3 average weeks for Crispy. McCartan's in. Could put him on the ground. But just for now, he's hanging on the bench. Leave your thoughts on my rolling All-Australian team down below. Now, my final thoughts are simply this. You want me on Cameo, head to cameo.com/CooperG. You want me to roast your friends. You want me to do anything at all like that for Cameo. I love doing the cameos. If you want to request them, cameo.com/CooperG. Go and get a video. If you want me to roast someone at your friends or whatever, congratulate someone on something, go and get yours today. Merch. Please support the merch if you can. T-shirts, stickers, stubby holders, hats. There's not many hats remaining. There's not many stickers remaining. So go and get yours today before they run out. They've both got under 7 remaining. So go and get yours today. Appreciate you all. I'm going to try and get more guests for the future. Always in regular contact with some and trying to get more guests every single week. Appreciate it all. Until next time, everyone, have a great one. The most important thing of all to remember is go the Saints. And of course, and that is absolutely acknowledge me. Go Saints.